All right, guys, we're going to get started soon here. Mike's going live there, J-Dubs?
Yep.
Fantastic. Live on my Facebook, J-Dubs. Hey, we're on time, Judah. Should be a pretty pretty electric show, wouldn't you say, Wickhauer?
No doubt. Some pretty surprising.
Not really, though. We predicted this. To the T, we predicted this.
Yeah, but it's surprising that it all happened over the weekend.
Okay, I'll give you that. It's surprising it happened before she was even, Abigail Spanberger was named governor, was officially governor. She was still the governor-elect when all this, when 3 of the 5 resignations went down. We're talking Paul Manning, Rachel Sheridan, Porter Wilkinson, then Stephen Long and Doug Whitmore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they and what? The very next day, she appoints 10 people. She's essentially got a full board now.
Abigail Spanberger
BOV.
has appointed 10 new members to the board and is now in control of the most prestigious board in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And she's been on the job, 48 hours? I mean, you talk about someone who moves with the speed of, lightning. We're going to talk about that. Imagine being Paul Manning right now. You donated $100 million to the University of Virginia, $100 million to fund the biotech school, which is arguably one of the most significant economic drivers in Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and the entire region. And then you're forced to resign by Abigail Spanberger before she's officially the governor.
Yeah, it's a bit of a slap in the face.
I mean, this is Paul Manning's legacy here. You got a billionaire who gave $100 million to UVA, the second most significant donor to the University of Virginia. Paul Manning, in the history of the UVA, is the second most significant contributor to the university. And here he is, scarlet lettered. I mean, this is his legacy, right? This is what, when people read Paul Manning online, a generation or two from now, this will be one of the first sentences on his Wikipedia. It's just a wild time right now. And don't discount Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan is waiting in the shadows, assessing collateral damage, and pretty much deciding if he's going to have a second rodeo at the University of Virginia. And how about the Department of Justice and how the Trump administration is going to act if an agreement interim President Paul Mahoney signed with the DOJ is nuclear bombed by Spanberger?
Oh, yeah.
I would think she's considering doing that. My prediction is she's going to do that because the General Assembly, her fellow Democrats, want her to do it.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure a lot of the people at UVA want her to do it. I think, I don't think it's any surprise that the university faculty, largely, I think professors are lean to the left. And so I'm sure they will applaud whatever moves Spanberger makes in regards to the school.
Grab which headline most intrigues you and why, and then we'll get started. I'll ask you that question when the show's on air as well. John Blair, welcome to the broadcast. Print, radio, and television, welcome to the broadcast. Like and share the show. Hammer the like button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We work hard for you. What intrigues you the most today, Judah?
I mean, I really just have to take all this together. It's hard to pick just one thing because it really does. I mean, the whole thing is kind of like a nuclear bomb. Just went off at UVA. And we have yet to see the full effect of what's left when the smoke clears.
He's right. Let's rock and roll when you're ready, J-Dubs.
Quiet on the set.
Vanessa Parko, Philip Dow, Carol Thorpe, welcome to the show. Hammer that like button for us. We work hard for you. Hammer the like button. Share the show. Help us spread the gospel. That's the only thing we ask in return. The only thing we ask in return. Welcome to the I Love CVille show, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Good Monday afternoon to you. It's the water cooler of content and conversation for the University of Virginia, Charlottesville, Albemarle County, Central Virginia, and frankly, the water cooler of content and conversation for the Commonwealth of Virginia. We are spreading our wings. We are highlighting what's the comings and goings in Virginia across the board, as one of the goals for this network is to, frankly, be the voice and you know, the monitor of the news cycle for not just regionally in our area, but the entire Commonwealth. And goodness gracious, this storyline is the best of both worlds. The storyline, Abigail Spanberger, nuclear bombing, the University of Virginia Board of Visitors, the most premier, prestigious, the most pomp and circumstance board in all of the Commonwealth, impacts Virginia as a Commonwealth, impacts Charlottesville City, Albemarle County, and the University of Virginia. Literally the best of all worlds for us as content creators here on the flagship show of the I Love CVille network. We're going to talk on today's program how Abigail Spanberger, right out of the gate, I mean, before she was inaugurated as governor, before we became official, she had 3 resignations from Rachel Sheridan, Porter Wilkinson, and Paul Manning. We predicted this was going to happen on this show, and there's a paper trail that confirms our predictions were correct. We have 4 more predictions for you today on the I Love CVille show, including Scott Beardsley's future, Jim Ryan's future, the University of Virginia, the Trump administration, and a crossfire of significant proportions where hundreds of millions of dollars of federal funding are at stake. We're going to talk how Spanberger may risk that funding and kick Trump in the nuts and potentially go after, ladies and gentlemen, funding from alumni to stopgap the federal funding loss. God, there's so much to cover on the program today. I am jacked and ready to go. I want to ask you, the viewer and listener, how do you feel if you're Paul Manning this morning? You give $100 million to the University of Virginia. Paul Manning is the second largest donor in University of Virginia history, period, bar none. I'll say that again. Paul Manning, the billionaire, the second largest donor to the University of Virginia in its history. And folks, just a couple of days ago, this guy was pressured by Abigail Spanberger, a UVA alum, to quit a board that he had given so much time and effort to. And now, Paul Manning's legacy, years from now, when his name shows up on Google or on Wikipedia, and the first few sentences of his description, it will say, resigned under pressure from the UVA Board of Visitors. So much to unpack, so much to cover on the show. We'll give some love to a Darden alum, Conan Owen of Sir Speedy, Central Virginia. Conan Owen of Sir Speedy, Central Virginia is a guy that understands how to get your business some attention, some awareness through marketing collateral like signage, window decals, vinyl, the banner behind me, direct mail, lanyards, stickers, merchandise, uniform, you name it. Conan Owen, the owner of Sir Speedy, Central Virginia, is who you contact for any marketing collateral, 3-dimensional that you may need. So much I want to cover on the program. I'm going to offer a couple of takes, then we'll weave Judah Wickower in on the show. I want to set the stage first. The pomp and circumstance was significant. The frigid temperatures were very real. And on Saturday, Abigail Spanberger, in front of some of the most powerful players in the Commonwealth, officially became the first female governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Abigail Spanberger, prior to officially being inaugurated as the governor of Virginia, behind the scenes, forced the resignation of Rachel Sheridan, the rector, Porter Wilkinson, the vice rector, Paul Manning, the $100 million donation man, the billionaire, and later Douglas Wetmore, and later Stephen Long. She forced 5 individuals who were linked to an alleged Department of Justice Donald Trump backroom deal that pushed Jim Ryan out of office as president of the University of Virginia. Immediately after these 5 Board of Visitors resigned, and remember, it wasn't a full board at that point, but immediately after the 5 resigned, it was 12, which took it down to 7. 10 spots were left open. It's a 17-member board. Spanberger has already appointed the 10 spots
Yeah.
and is now waiting for them to be official by a Democratic-led General Assembly.
That is.
So it's a slam dunk these 10 individuals are going to be approved by Virginia Democrats who control what's happening in Richmond. And just like that, Spanberger is going to control the most pomp and prestigious and premier board in all the land, certainly the Commonwealth, specifically the Commonwealth. I'm going to give you 4 predictions on this show of what's going to happen, including how Spanberger's efforts may lead to Scott Beardsley's resignation and or termination, the newly minted president of UVA, how Spanberger's efforts may lead to Jim Ryan 2.0, a second rodeo as president of the University of Virginia. Ryan is very mindful of his legacy. How Abigail Spanberger's efforts may lead to a crossfire with Donald Trump in the Department of Justice. Federal funding, we've been told, that's north of $500 million a year to the University of Virginia at stake here. Spanberger is considering imploding an agreement that former interim president Paul Mahoney signed with the DOJ that halted a Department of Justice investigation on the university. In turn of halting that investigation, Mahoney secured the federal funding from the Trump administration and stopped the investigation the DOJ was doing on UVA. In return, the DOJ and the Trump administration get some insight, some auditability of what's going on at the University of Virginia. And Spanberger doesn't like that. Virginia Democrats don't like that. Katrina Colson doesn't like that. Creed Deeds doesn't like that. And goodness gracious, the state senator that absolutely appalled me over the weekend, Louise Lucas, who compared U.S. Senators Tim Kaine and Mark Warner to cuckolds. Cuckolds. How do I even say this?
Cuckolds.
Cuckolds.
Yeah.
Just gross. Just gross. So much to unpack on the program. Sit back, grab your iced coffee. Goodness gracious, for today's show, you might need to get a bullet bourbon or some top shelf scotch. I'm going to studio camera our studio here in downtown Charlottesville. Then we'll weave Judah Wickhauer in on a 2-shot. My friend, I've been looking forward to the program since the news broke Friday evening that Sheridan, Manning, and Wilkinson were out. I've been looking forward to this program even more when the news broke that 2 other board members were out. I've been looking forward to this program even more when the news broke that Spanberger has already appointed 10 others to the board. And I've been looking forward to this program even more than that when the scuttlebutt that's been sent to me has Jim Ryan waiting in the wings and possibly considering a second rodeo as president of the University of Virginia. I will start open-ended with you, my friend, anywhere you want to go. What is tickling Judah Wickhauer's fancy? And please don't say it's Louise Lucas's cuckold comments.
Well, this all adds up to an insane weekend. I think that Spanberger had all of this. I mean, she clearly had plans for all of this.
It was teed up.
Yeah. And she's gotten what she wanted. She's got almost an entirely new BOV that's, I would imagine, all loyal to her. And one has to assume that she's taking aim at current president Scott Beardsley.
Scott Beardsley, who is extremely qualified to be the president of the University of Virginia, either did not read the tea leaves correctly, and I don't think that's what that's what it is, because he's a really smart guy. Taking this job, he either misread the political tea leaves, has a contract that is so financially lucrative he could not help but take this job. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Or Beardsley took this job knowing that he was going to get fired, but get fired in a way where, at least with a large portion of the alumni base and the university, I shouldn't say large, a portion of the alumni base in the university, especially the business-minded alumni and those tied to the Darden School, he's going to be made to be a what do you call it when someone is destroyed but is like almost made into a hero figure?
Martyred.
Martyred. Scott Beardsley will be martyred by the business alumni, the Darden School, the capitalists of the University of Virginia. Now, that section of the University of Virginia is fewer and further between than the leftist academia portion of the University of Virginia. Okay? But Beardsley, and we're going to unpack that with some insight into his contract on this show that you, the viewer and listener, has never heard or seen or been told before. We'll break some news for you on the program today. Beardsley's going to get paid.
Oh, yeah.
Beardsley's going to get paid.
No
He's going to
doubt.
be sipping pina coladas, Mai Tais, umbrella drinks. He's not going to have to work for an extended period of time. This guy is going to not hurt for money. Not that he's, frankly, I mean,
don't
he's
think he
already
needs it.
not hurting for money. Okay? He's in a very good situation. But some of his legacy will be tainted if he's fired or has to resign, because it will be the shortest presidential term in UVA academic history.
No doubt.
I think we should set the stage as you rotate lower thirds on screen. Let's start with the first one. Carol Thorpe, welcome to the program. I will get to your comments in a matter of moments. Viewers and listeners of all shapes and sizes, put your comments in the feed. I will relay them live on air. This is an equal opportunity talk show. I don't care if you're black, white, Puerto Rican, or Haitian. I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, a Libertarian. I don't care if you're a Catholic, a Muslim, a Christian, a Protestant, a Southern Baptist, Judah is not Jewish. We love the Jews on this program. We love you all on this program. We're going to hold you accountable if we think something that you're doing is outlandish, including a Portsmouth state senator, a black woman, calling two white men cuckolds.
Cuckolds, yeah.
U.S. senators. Imagine if the roles were reversed and Warner and Kane had called Louise Lucas the equivalent. That would have been World War III. But first, we got to talk with the UVA news. We got to start with the UVA news, Judah Woodcower. Abigail Spanberger, Saturday was the pomp and circumstance. Friday evening, the New York Times reports what you and I have been explaining to the entire world was going to happen all along. Rachel Sheridan was going to quit. Porter Wilkinson was going to quit. We explained to you that they were going to resign because they were going to get fired. And at least resigning, there's less of a bitter taste, and you can control the narrative in the media cycle. You can issue a resignation statement on why you're out, as opposed to being fired, where fired will follow you as a scarlet letter does for the rest of your life. The resignation is still going to follow Sheridan. The resignation is still going to fire Wilkinson for the rest of their life. But Sheridan and Wilkinson, whether they want to admit this or not, are the perceived hatchet women that destroyed Jim Ryan's presidential career at the University of Virginia. They are the perceived hatchet women that worked in cahoots with the DOJ, with the Trump administration, to oust Jim Ryan. The surprising news from Friday night, one that no one predicted, not even the I Love CVille show, was Paul Manning.
Yeah.
Lower thirds on screen. Paul Manning, $100 million donor to the University of Virginia, Paul Manning. The second most significant donor in University of Virginia history is Paul Manning, the billionaire. This man made his money in biotech and life science. This guy's of PBM Capital fame. This guy owns a boatload of prominent real estate locally, including a trophy property in the heartbeat of Charlottesville, Dairy Market and Dairy Central. He owns a vineyard. He owns buildings everywhere. He's investing in companies. This guy gave $100 million for the Paul and Diane Manning Biotech Center on Fontaine Avenue. There is no more incremental, significant driver of the Charlottesville, Albemarle County, Central Virginia, and Commonwealth of Virginia economy than biotechnology. I'm going to say it again. The only one that could potentially rival it is data science, is data centers. But the only thing data centers does is contribute to tax revenue from a real estate standpoint. Okay? They're not creating new jobs.
Right.
The jobs that are being created from biotechnology and the flagship donation, the instigator donation, the spearhead and needle-moving donation of $100 million in Paul Manning. I can make a legitimate argument that Paul Manning's $100 million donation to the UVA Biotechnology School is as significant of an economic driver in Charlottesville, Albemarle County, Central Virginia, and across the Commonwealth of Virginia as anything we have seen in the last 36 months, certainly since post-COVID. After Manning makes that donation, AstraZeneca invests $4.5 billion into Albemarle County to build their world headquarters.
Yep.
Eli Lilly invests even more money into Goochland County.
Yep.
And then Glenn Youngkin goes on this media tour touting a biotechnology beltway that will rival what we're seeing in the triangle of North Carolina with Durham and Chapel Hill and Winston-Salem, Duke, UNC, and Wake Forest. If it's not for Paul Manning donating $100 million to the biotechnology school, you do not have a $4.5 billion AstraZeneca storyline.
Right.
You do not have the even more significant storyline of Eli Lilly and Goochland, and you don't have a biotech beltway that connects Rockingham County to Richmond, Virginia, a beltway that will drive the Commonwealth economy like anything we've never seen before.
Right.
And then Paul Manning is forced out, the $100 million man, the second largest donor in UVA history, an effing billionaire. He is forced out by Abigail Spanberger in nondescript fashion on a Friday night in a news dump that caught all of us off guard. The Manning news caught everyone off guard.
No doubt.
Now, I want you to ask yourself this question, and Judah, you jump in. If you're Paul Manning and you kick $100 million to the University of Virginia, you donate your time, the opportunity cost of your time on a board of visitors that is a scandal waiting to happen left and right, where you are stigmatized and scarlet lettered, where your name is leaked by Jim Ryan in a 12-page report where Jim Ryan throws Paul Manning under the effing bus, basically linking Paul Manning to Trump and the DOJ as one of the reasons I got shit canned at the University of Virginia. That's what Jim Ryan said in his 12-page letter.
And he thought he was a friend.
And Jim Ryan, the worst thing you could do to somebody, said this: I thought Paul Manning was my friend,
That's pretty
but
harsh.
he backstabbed me. He called him a Judas. How many gold coins? How many silver coins? What's in the Bible, Judah? What did he
30.
do to Jesus? How many?
He betrayed him for 30 silver.
Jim Ryan said Paul Manning betrayed me for 30 silver coins. That's what he said. That's what he said. And you wake up on Saturday morning and you're Paul Manning, and the governor of Virginia is being inaugurated on a chilly, cold day in Richmond as the first female governor in Commonwealth of Virginia history. What is going through your mind if you're Paul Manning? This guy is, I hope Paul Manning hears this. I've been told he's seen and listened to the show. Mr. Manning, you are an asset. I hope he hears this. You're an asset to this community. The University of Virginia is lucky to have you. I do not believe you were a Judas that betrayed Jim Ryan for 30 silver coins. I think all you were trying to do was to diminish and minimize as much negativity and collateral damage against the University of Virginia as possible. You were thrown into a no-win situation, a crossfire between Trump, the DOJ, UVA that is extremely left-leaning, DEI efforts. There was a no-win situation. And Mr. Manning, how you were treated by Abigail Spanberger and her administration before she was even into office is literally, they spat on your face, sir. And it's deplorable, it's disgusting, it is downright disrespectful. You are owed an apology, Mr. Manning. I see why Sheridan and Wilkinson were forced to resign. The Manning News, you don't do that to people that have that kind of impact at the University of Virginia. Judah Wickower. Then I'm going to jump in with some more commentary.
I think a lot of these people resigned when they did because they didn't want to write a resignation letter to Spanberger. The letters would have read very, very differently had they been written to now Governor Abigail Spanberger. You see in the letters from Porter and Wilkinson that I believe they were making statements with their resignations. They were writing to now former Governor Glenn Youngkin, and they were able to not explain, but point out what the good that they felt they had done. And I think this was a subtle snub to Spanberger for her role in all this.
Paul Manning's $100 million donation to the University of Virginia cannot be clawed back.
Sadly.
But I think it's safe to say he will not donate another green dollar or red cent to the University of Virginia ever again.
I believe that to be true.
And to Judah's point, Sheridan and Wilkinson, who are in their prime earning window, who are far from Manning's wealth, or far from the type of wealth that you could give millions of dollars to the university like Mr. Manning has done.
$100 million.
They penned resignation letters that tried strategically to dictate the news cycle and manage the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Two extremely intelligent women. But when we look back in history, and we are living history in real time, and I think Sheridan and Wilkinson, when they have an opportunity to catch their breath and have the benefit of hindsight, they are going to realize that they were used tremendously. They were nothing more in a chess metaphor than, I'll say they were more significant than the pawns on the board. But they were probably the knights, maybe a bishop, certainly not a rook.
Mm-hmm.
They got played, they got used, whether it was the DOJ, whether it was Trump, whether it was Youngkin, whether it was folks that were in Youngkin's ear, they got used, and they will forever be perceived by an extremely large portion of Virginia in Virginia's history as the hatchet women in this story. That will forever be in their Wikipedias. Now, as you rotate headlines on screen, we have to start asking ourselves, and then we're going to open up the conversation to your comments, viewers and listeners, as I have folks in Northern Virginia, Arlington, Fairfax, McLean, folks outside D.C., Alexandria. I have folks in southwestern Virginia on our heat map. I have folks in the 757, Hampton Roads, Newport News, Virginia Beach, Williamsburg. Richmond, the heat map is such dotted right now. Charlottesville, Crozet, Lynchburg, the Eastern Shore. There's 5 different states watching the program right now. I'm going to offer 4 predictions of what's next for the University of Virginia. And goodness gracious, our crystal ball has been extremely accurate. And you know why it's extremely accurate? Because we're communicating with the people at the table. We're having signal conversations with the people at the table who are telling us what's next and what's going on. Prediction number 1. Spanberger and her newly appointed Board of Visitors are going to go after Scott Beardsley. They will utilize statutory violations stemming from a Glenn Youngkin Board of Visitors that was not fully legit. They're going to say you needed to have 12 alumni, you needed to have 12 Virginians on the board, and you didn't meet that criteria. As a result, it was a Board of Visitors that was not fully legitimate. They're going to utilize that loophole. Some call it a loophole. Some call it the letter of the law. It clearly states this as a hiring process or as a new presidential hire that is not valid. And they will offer Mr. Beardsley some grace. They will say, sir, you need to resign and we will honor your contract in totality.
They have to.
Alternatively, if Mr. Beardsley says no, they will say, then Mr. Beardsley, you will be fired. His contract, we have details. Judah Wickower, you have them in front of you. Offer some insight without naming names, please, of the Scott Beardsley contract for the viewers and listeners.
Oh, let's see. He's got a very similar contract to President Ryan's. They both get 1 year salary continuation and a sabbatical. Ryan got vested sabbatical because he had been president for quite a few years, whereas Beardsley wisely has his sabbatical time front loaded. I believe is perhaps the term. He gets a year of sabbatical like Ryan, and it's going to accrue 2 months of sabbatical per year. We'll see whether he gets any of that accrual, but he certainly gets 1 year at, no matter what happens. He also gets, let's see, Ryan got 75% of the last base of his salary, with no limit on how long he can stay. Beardsley's faculty appointment is up to 10 years at lesser of 60% of his last presidential base or his Darden Dean salary. He has the additional termination provision of the greater of 24 months or half of his 10-year offer remaining of salary and deferred comp, $225,000. So if they really want blood and to get rid of him, he still gets 5 years. And this guy worked for McKinsey, so as you mentioned, he probably doesn't need the money.
This guy is already well-to-do. He was a direct subordinate of very powerful people. He was just shy of the C-suite at a massive consulting firm, has ties to the Carlyle Group as well, where Youngkin was previously the co-CEO of. This is an extremely sophisticated, shrewd business person who understands negotiations and contracts, and front-loading his contract like this makes it obvious to all of us that he saw implosion on the horizon. So I'm going to pose 3 scenarios. Scott Beardsley taking this job, did he really misread the political tea leaves? The clear-cut answer to that is absolutely not. Scott Beardsley, when he took this job, did he do it for the money? Whether you admit this or not, everyone is motivated by money.
And he just got a massive, he takes the job for less than a month, gets a massive amount of money. I mean, this guy's smart. He definitely deserves to be the dean of the business school.
Yeah, bingo. Is going to be on this job for the shortest time presidential UVA-wise in the history of the University of Virginia, the shortest term in the history of the university, and he's going to get a Brinks truck to leave Cars Hill.
Yeah.
He will leave Cars Hill in a Brinks truck. Abigail Spanberger and the Board of Visitors get the Brinks truck, take it to Cars Hill, pack up his Louis Vuitton, pack up his Mercedes-Benz GLS, get his wife's Coach purses, get the 8-carat diamond rings and tennis bracelets, get the top shelf scotch, put it in the Brinks truck with the gold bars, and take it anywhere Scott Beardsley wants. Props to you, Scott Beardsley.
I think he's even smarter than that. I don't think he ever moved into Cars Hill.
You don't even think he paid the $15,000 or $20,000 in moving fees? Frankly, that's part of the contract.
Why would he? If he knows that, why? Everybody knows how what a pain it is to move. Why would he? I could understand him, like, if the school's paying for it, like, just move a bunch of crap in there. But why upend your own life by moving your stuff into someplace is not going to be permanent?
Okay, so what's Scott Beardsley's legacy?
Scott Beardsley's legacy is that he proved he was a great dean of the business school
Number
at
one.
UVA.
Yep. Okay, I'm with you on that. I agree.
And he penned himself a deal that netted him
Millions of dollars.
How many people have made that much just off like
A university, a public university.
a public university?
Yeah.
1 month on the job, and you got how much? I mean,
Millions of dollars.
millions of dollars.
Okay. Number
Plus-
two.
plus a paid year of sabbatical.
Number three, this guy's legacy, Scott Beardsley. I've been told you watch the show. I've been told people directly close to you are monitoring the show and providing reports to you on what we're talking about on the show. I want you to hear this, Scott Beardsley. What you arranged with the University of Virginia, this deal you put together, is nothing short of brilliant, shrewd, and forward-thinking. Your legacy, Scott Beardsley, will be one of negotiation skill set, forward-thinking shrewdness, and with the business population of the University of Virginia, the business alumni, the Darden School alumni, the folks that are McIntyre School of Commerce graduates, the mergers and acquisitions, the finance folks, the real estate folks, the deal makers, the money people, okay? We're talking the money people here, not the academia that doesn't have the money that donates to the University of Virginia. I'm cutting to the chase. That's going to piss some people off. But the money people tied to the University of Virginia. Scott Beardsley, you walk on water. You take loaves and fishes and you feed the hundreds, Scott Beardsley, and you will for an eternity and for generations to come. The academia, the philosophy, the art history, the music appreciation, the basket weaving, the jazz society, the oratory society, the activists at the University of Virginia, and boy, oh boy, there are many. They hate your guts, sir. Just cutting to the chase. They hate your guts. But the money folks,
To be fair, it
they
doesn't take
admire
much.
you. What's that?
I said, to be fair, it doesn't take much.
They love that group loved Jim Ryan.
He literally hasn't done anything wrong.
That
So
group loved
for
Jim
people
Ryan. In the
to-
eyes of that group, taking the job was doing wrong.
I know. But like I said, it doesn't take much. They're essentially weapons that you point at someone, and if you tell them that the person is bad, if the right person tells them they're bad, then you've got
You got selective outcry. John Blair, I'm going to get to your comments here in a matter of moments. Viewers and listeners, put your comments at the feed. I'm going to relay them live on air. Beardsley's legacy is cemented. It's cemented with the people he wants his legacy cemented with. Beardsley is going to resign before he gets fired. He's going to get millions of dollars in a Brinks truck from the University of Virginia for years, and then he's going to go take a consulting job somewhere where he's going to get paid a couple of $1 million to navigate the intersection of university policy and federal funding and outcry and activism and all that mumbo jumbo, all that word salad. He will get a consulting job from higher education at the drop of a hat. Tom Perriello runs for Congress, wins the first term thanks to Barack Obama, loses the second term, Tommy P does. Tommy P immediately gets hired by a DC think tank or consulting firm. Immediately hired. Same thing. Perriello, K Street, throwing opportunities to him. Just like Beardsley's consulting firms will be throwing opportunities to him. Now, next headline, and then we'll get to viewer and listener comments. Jim Ryan, Judah. Jim Ryan. What is going on with Jim Ryan right now? Then we'll talk federal funding. We'll talk the Paul Mahoney deal. And we'll talk Spamberger potentially cross-firing with Donald Trump. First, Jim Ryan, lower third on screen. Go.
There's no way I could be surprised by Jim Ryan ending up back in the seat of president. It seems almost like there was a coordinated effort to keep him around, keep him ready, and let him know that whatever happens, we're going to like you've so eloquently put it, nuclear. You say nuclear bomb the Board of Visitors and the UVA, and when the dust settles, we've got Jim Ryan back in the driver's seat, and he keeps all of his, I believe he keeps all of his extra pay, and you've got a united front of Ryan, the
General Assembly,
the faculty senate, the General Assembly,
the Board of Visitors,
the governor, the Board of Visitors, all aligned against the DOJ and giving a giant middle finger to which,
Donald Trump.
yeah, to Donald Trump and the DOJ, which, I really don't have a problem with. I feel like the DOJ overstepped its bounds with a lot of these schools, and it serves them right for getting this thrown in their face. But I don't think it's necessarily good for UVA or for our country or for anyone involved except for Scott Beardsley and Jim Ryan.
Judah Wickower on point today. I'm going to throw this comparison to you. I'm going to make an NBA, National Basketball Association comparison. LeBron James. Everyone knows LeBron James. You know LeBron James. Everyone knows the king. LeBron James, one of the biggest flexes of LeBron James. It's not the NBA championship rings. It's not the national global endorsements. It's not the Olympic gold medals, the biggest flexes for LeBron James. It's not the fact that one day LeBron James will own an NBA franchise. It's not the fact that LeBron James is a billionaire. You know what one of the biggest flexes when LeBron James is? The fact that he's playing this season for a second consecutive year with his son. Bronny James is a G League player at best, but because of the James moniker and because of the James history and talent, he was able to get one of the most global franchises, the LA Lakers, to draft his son, Bronny James, and give him a roster spot, secure him a roster spot, hand him a roster spot as if it was charity for now a second consecutive season. That's called a flex. I'll tie this to the University of Virginia. You want to know what a flex is for Virginia Democrats? You want to know one of the biggest flexes in the history of Virginia Democrats in the General Assembly is when they get Jim Ryan back into the University of Virginia as a president for the second go-around, his second rodeo. And in that scenario, the Board of Visitors, Abigail Spanberger, the General Assembly, donors, faculty, alumni, active students, the janitors, the associate professors, the grad students, the admins, the ticket punchers, the folks that work at Newcomb Dining Hall, they are all going to flex. Look at what we did. Like LeBron James does, he does that. This thing, Jim Ryan is back into office. Jim Ryan is back into office.
Yeah.
It's a flex. And we have mentioned all along that Ryan was going to be the guy that eventually was going to be back in office. And Jim Ryan has this decision to make. I've been told he watches and listens to the show as well. Jim Ryan's legacy is far from cemented. It's far from pure. It's far from sterling. Jim Ryan's legacy is convoluted. And if Jim Ryan gets a second crack, a second rodeo, as president of the University of Virginia, he has a chance to rewrite the narrative. And if Beardsley is able to take a few loaves and a few fishes and feed the hundreds within the business community, then Jim Ryan is going to do even more significant than that. He will be literally the Mother Teresa. He will literally be the Jesus Christ of academia. He will be a man who has risen from the dead, a man that was hung on a cross with nails pounded through his hands and his feet, left to die on a hot, scalding day, to rise from a tomb in a cave. That's what could happen with Jim Ryan. And at that point, his legacy will be one of Netflix documentary proportions. And I want every viewer and listener that's watching and listening to this show to understand this. What is happening in real time at the University of Virginia will, without question, be an HBO Max, Netflix documentary, Amazon Prime, Paramount Plus special of some kind.
It makes me think that his letter was all in service to that.
Without question. Explain that. 100%. We shouldn't take that for granted. The 12-page letter. Go.
Well, he starts off by essentially saying that, I just wanted to get down these recollections before they faded from my memory, so that I could, set the record straight. So essentially, it's not a record. It's not official. It's basically a memoir, a 12-page memoir of what he supposedly remembers. He throws his supposed friend Paul Manning under the bus. He makes accusations, and none of it is based on any evidence. It's just his recollections. So you can't say it's wrong. You can't say that it's lies, because
it's one man's opinion.
Easily defendable as, oh, well, this is how I remembered things. But it does set the stage for his return. And as you said, his martyrization, his rising from the ashes, his phoenix comeback as the beleaguered president of,
he's the Jesus Christ of academia. If this happens, he will be the Jesus Christ of academia.
And he'll come back as the head of, this, like I said, this unified wall.
That will go after what academia perceives as Lucifer himself, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Jim Ryan will be the Jesus Christ of academia that rises from being pegged to a cross, nailed to a cross.
Yeah, figuratively speaking.
And will be the face of the effort that goes toe-to-toe with what is perceived by academia, the Lucifer of the world.
Yeah.
And Jim Ryan knows this. He knows this.
And how much does that cover the sins of the past?
Bingo. Comments coming in quickly. John Blair's photo on screen, number 2 in the family. Jerry, you remember how I said a nuclear bomb would go off? Well, we were both right, Jerry. The bomb I was talking about was Beardsley's severance. My sources had told me that it would be $5 million or greater. Well, talk about greater. It's $8.5 million. Beardsley's severance.
Thank you for that number, John.
$8.5 million. Beardsley is going to get $8.5 million to be the president of the University of Virginia for 1 month. Anyone who puts blame on Scott Beardsley is an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Is an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
He just played the game and is going to walk with a Brinks truck of $8.5 million.
He played the game better than anyone
Scott
in this
Beardsley.
story.
Go ahead.
He played the game better than anyone in the story. We see a lot of planning, I think, from Spanberger. We see, political maneuvering all around, and then you've got Scott Beardsley, who is just a smart guy.
Scott Beardsley played the game better than anyone in this story, period, bar none.
And he doesn't even have to get his. He doesn't even have to get his hands or feet dirty, politically speaking.
And he's already wealthy.
Yeah.
All he's doing is setting up his grandkids and his great-grandkids. Jim Ryan ain't wealthy. Rachel Sheridan's not wealthy.
Mm.
Porter Wilkinson is not wealthy. Spanberger is not wealthy. Paul Manning's wealthy.
Yeah.
But he didn't play the game like Beardsley.
He didn't need to, and I don't think he cared to either.
I don't think he has to. You're right. You're 100% right. Comments coming in. Patricia Napoleon. I shall add regarding the new governor, her disrespectful move toward Paul Manning will sink her legacy. Conan Owen. And who pays that severance? Taxpayers just to make a political point. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Sad but true.
100%. Conan also says Paul Manning is owed not only an apology, but $100 million. And you can bet he won't give UVA another penny and will make it hard for UVA to fundraise amongst his peers. Paul Manning will not get that $100 million back But Paul Manning will not give a red cent again. And I can assure you, Paul Manning's friends will be very mindful before they donate to the University of Virginia.
Yeah.
Now, at the
a great
120
point.
marker, with me having a 2 o'clock meeting here, we have to go to the next topic, and we'll talk more about this all week long on the I Love CVille show, which, frankly speaking, is the water cooler of content and conversation for Charlottesville, Albemarle County, the University of Virginia, and one of our goals for 2026 is the water cooler of content and conversation for the Commonwealth of Virginia. There is a clear gaping hole because of the mismanagement, the lack of foresight of Lee Enterprises and their newspapers across Virginia, where they are just struggling to produce and perform. We will fill that gap here on the I Love CVille network as we position content wherever you get your social media and podcasting content. That's how you absorb media anyway. It's not through a paywall on some ad-ridden websites. Spanberger, Judah Wickower, and the Paul Mahoney Department of Justice deal. My prediction is that lower third on screen is that Abigail Spanberger, Virginia Democrats, the Board of Visitors that's now Spanberger appointed, or controlled, I should say, controlled, will implode the DOJ Trump administration agreement that interim President Paul Mahoney signed. The Virginia Democrats were disgusted. They were up at arms. They were appalled. They were angry that interim President Paul Mahoney signed this agreement. They said no interim president should sign a deal with Trump and the DOJ. You're an interim president. You don't have that authority. He did it anyway because Paul Mahoney said, this minimizes collateral damage, and this minimizes headwinds for UVA. It keeps the DOJ off our back, and most importantly, it preserves the hundreds of millions of dollars. We've been told it's over $500 million in federal funding allocated to the University of Virginia every year. We have to do this. In return, the agreement offers the DOJ and the Trump administration some access to the University of Virginia. Access.
I don't think it really even gives them that. It essentially says, as far as I understand it, that the president of the university will give a quarterly
audit report, access.
Not access.
Okay, we'll agree to
basically
disagree.
Going to say, hey, here's how we've followed the rules.
Yeah, that's called access, unprecedented access. Virginia Democrat. Okay, I respect your opinion. I'm not trying to get combative here. We have 8 minutes left on the program. I have somewhere to be at 2 o'clock. Important scenario here. Virginia Democrats disagree with you.
Of course they do.
Okay, the
veracity doesn't even matter. They would still disagree because they want that to be true so that they can fight it.
So they have leverage.
So that they can fight it and be the good guys in the end when it falls.
And that very may be the case. But Virginia Democrats right now are motivated or inspired, or they're painting a narrative. They're circulating a hypothetical that Paul Mahoney, the interim president, entered an agreement with the DOJ and the Trump administration that allows the DOJ access, audit, accountability, inside access to UVA, and how it's eradicated diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's what Virginia Democrats are saying. And it's pissing Virginia Democrats off. Okay? So Spanberger is going to utilize the outrage, some may call it selective outrage, I love that phrase from Judah Wickower, as a reason to implode the agreement the Mahoney interim president signed with the DOJ. And when that agreement's imploded, if that agreement does implode, and I think you have another lower third that you can put on screen, $500 million plus can be at risk. And then Spanberger, the University of Virginia, the General Assembly, and Virginia Democrats will do this. Guys, do we give the one-finger salute to the Donald Trump and the DOJ? And if we give the one-finger salute to Donald Trump and the DOJ, how do we make up that money? And that's when the marketing campaign will start at the University of Virginia. UVA alumni versus the dirty, deceitful Donald Trump. We need to raise $600 million, and we have to do it every single year, at least as long as Trump is in office. The likelihood of, well, we know Trump's not going to be in office again. I would imagine America is going to be so galvanized after what's happened with Trump in office this time that you're probably looking at a Democrat in office, but who knows after that. at least for the next couple of years. We're going to have to raise $600 million plus every year as long as Trump is in office. And you know what? I think the alumni base is so wealthy that if Spanberger, the BOV, if they did a rallying cry, we need to raise $600 million to keep jobs, to keep grad assistants and TAs and associate professors and research departments and labs open, that they could raise $600 million. And I think they could do it in small donation process, like through GoFundMe type deals of like $25 or $50 or $100 from the alumni, and they would get that money very quickly. And when UVA does that over a 2-year period of time, they figure out that they have the skill set or the ability to raise $600 million to give the one-finger salute to Donald Trump. That's going to make this university even more flush with money, flush with dry power, and even more punch drunk with itself, that you're going to be looking at an institution that is absolutely going to look to distance itself. It basically will become a public-private in that scenario. It's already a public-private. It gets so little money from the Commonwealth of Virginia. Peanuts compared to the federal funding Virginia gets. UVA gets peanuts from the Commonwealth, significant from federal, even more significant from private donors. Mm-hmm. Okay? And if they somehow, Virginia, is able to give the one-finger salute to $500, $600, $700 million of federal funding, goodness gracious, they will have a revenue stream that could potentially shift the University of Virginia, its business model, in dramatic capacity. Those are predictions for you on what's going to happen. Goodness gracious, it is a wild time to be the voice of the Commonwealth of Virginia and the water cooler of content and conversation for the Commonwealth. A wild time. And that's a mission for 2026. Mark that down. I'll close with this. And you offer 30 seconds of commentary before we get off air. And we'll give some love to Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. 61 consecutive years in business, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. Almost 60 years, 62 years. Online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. Their sister company, Charlottesville Swimming Pool Company, is online at charlottesvilleswimmingpoolcompany.com. Anything water testing, swimming pool related, sanitary needs, vacuum repair needs, anything. It's the Vermillions, John and Andrew Vermillion, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply and Charlottesville Swimming Pool Company. Carol Thorpe has this comment. It's not only UVA that needs to look out. The city of Charlottesville better watch out for February 1 when President Trump threatens to cut off federal funding from proclaimed sanctuary cities. Charlottesville cleverly invoked the term welcoming city, but it's a semantic ploy that Trump will surely sniff out.
Interesting.
Queen of Jack Jewett, Carol Thorpe. Close with this. Olivia Branch is watching the program. Let's offer her opinion. She's a very intelligent lady. She's the Queen of Keswick. I'm not a fan of throwing baby out with the bathwater. I hope the character of former BOV members will continue with contributions that benefits research, access, education, that impacts the lives of many on all levels of socioeconomic abilities. I hope so too, Olivia. But can you imagine the bitterness that Mr. Manning is feeling right now?
Acrimony, yeah.
Acrimony, bitterness.
No doubt.
Betrayal.
Yeah.
Backstabbing.
And he's probably thinking the exact same thing that former President Jim Ryan wrote, in that, I thought this guy was my friend.
Gosh, what if Jim Ryan and Paul Manning ran into each other at Bodo's Bagels over an everything bagel with cream cheese in the line, and they were next to each other, shoulder to shoulder? Jim Ryan better put his Ragged Mountain running shoes on and run out the door. I'll close with this. Virginia, but she's from Portsmouth, State Senator Louise Lucas, referencing U.S. Senators Tim Kaine and Mark Warner as what? What is it?
Cuckolds.
Cuckolds?
Cuckolds.
Just, it's disgusting. It was sent to me by a viewer and listener of our Fine and Fair talk show, and that kind of language is disgusting. And the crazy thing is, I think her base relishes in these tactics and that language, because there is a laundry list of nastiness and X-rated type of commentary from this Virginia state senator.
I think the worst side of politics in general, whether it's left or right, is the willingness to name call and rely on their base to pick up the
I don't recognize
war cry and make it a make it a label.
I don't recognize any party today. I don't recognize Republicans.
No.
I don't recognize Democrats. I don't recognize any of them.
Yeah.
And I've never felt more alienated as someone who votes every election cycle and follows the news cycle as closely as anyone. I've never felt more alienated by local, Virginia, and national politics than I do in this very moment.
Agreed.
Judah Wickower, Judah Wickower, Judah Wickower, Judah Wickower, Jerry Miller, the I Love CVille show, the water cooler of content and conversation in Charlottesville, Central Virginia, and across the Commonwealth of Virginia. So long.